I hereby announce my retirement from Formula One by the end of the 2022 season. Probably I should start with a long list of people to thank now, but I feel it is more important to explain the reasons behind my decision. I love this sport. It has been central to my life since I can remember. But as much as there's life on track, there's my life off track too. Being a racing driver has never been my sole identity. Who am I? I'm Sebastian, father of 3 children and husband to a wonderful woman. I am tolerant and feel we all have the same rights to live, no matter what we look like, where we come from, and who we love. I'm stubborn and impatient. My favorite color is blue. I am an optimist and I believe people are good. Next to racing, I have grown a family. My passion for racing and Formula One comes with lots of time spent away from them and takes a lot of energy. Committing to my passion the way I did does no longer go side by side with my wish to be a great father and husband. Further, I feel there is so much to explore and learn about life and about myself. Speaking of the future, I feel we live in very decisive times, and how we all shape these next years will determine our lives. My best race? Still to come. I believe in moving forwards and moving on. Time is a one-way street, and I want to go with the times. Farewell, and thanks for letting me share the track with you. I loved every bit of it.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Super License F1 podcast. My name's Rodney.
And my name is Zach.
Zach, how are you doing this week?
I'm feeling good. I really rushed through that. This is my new thing where I reflect on how I introduced myself, and I feel like I'm talking really fast.
I love it when
today.
you have a new thing. It's my favorite thing of yours.
It's my new thing. I just want to be positive. I'm feeling good. We're in the I suppose the dog days of summer. Like, it's warm but overcast. It's just
Not melting anymore?
no, but it's warm. It's warm.
Oh.
You know, I'm in here with all of the windows closed for audio reasons. And whenever I do this, I then, after the record, I go out of the room and usually have lunch. And then I come back in to continue my work day and I go, oh, did someone play basketball in here? What happened? Oh my God. And I was like, oh, it was just me, actually, probably.
Did someone play basketball in here? How big is the room you're in? Is this
Small.
Is this a feasible thing?
I mean, maybe that 3-on-3 they're doing at the Commonwealth Games, the half-court 3-on-3. Yeah.
They're not playing, but they are running suicides.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying it smells a bit like people have been exercising in here, and I think that's just my podcast
Wonderful.
work in
So
the summer.
good.
How are you?
I mean, I'm doing better than you, I would imagine, because it doesn't smell like someone was playing basketball in my immediate vicinity right now. Which is
But
great.
I can't smell
Great
it.
for me.
I'm nose blind to it when it's emanating from me in the moment. You have to leave and come back and go, oh, what happened in here? Anyway.
Oh dear. What, was there some wild animals in here or something? And then you realise, oh, that's me. That's my smell. Anyway, into the Formula One chat. Zach, big news. Sebastian Vettel, he's announced. Big news, number one, he's joined social media.
Yes.
And then seconds later, sick of social media, hates it so much that he decided to rage quit from Formula One. I was actually thinking that it was after the race that Leclerc was leading and drove straight off the track and into the wall. And I wonder if Seb saw that and went, my successor, the mantle has been passed. I can now leave you and say my farewells to this wonderful sport of F1. But he announced on social media, he joined social media to announce that he was leaving. So any first reactions?
First reactions. I mean, the first reaction was just a bit, oh, okay. He's just leveled out in my whole life. Like I was like, wow, he's so fast. I'm like, oh, you're a bit of a dick actually, and a bit annoying. And then he turned into like Papa Vettel, and he was like, oh, I'm good now. I was like, oh, okay. So now you're just a net nothing in my mind. Like, oh, you're fine.
I really, if you had asked me to put money on it, I would have put money on you having nothing but good things to say about Seb Vettel before we started this. So I'm a bit surprised.
It's mild. I've mild feelings of liking for him. He's doing all the right things. He's saying all the positive things, all that kind of stuff. He's being really good.
Sure.
But Yeah, he's a bit vanilla. Is that okay?
I guess the problem is that has been in Formula One for a long time, set a lot of records, won a lot of championships, won a lot of races.
Won a lot of hearts.
I think that's true. I think, though, that this is the age-old thing of like, oh, yeah, he won, but he was in the best car. I think to just say that Red Bull was the best car is kind of like doing Red Bull a bit of a disservice, because they could have lapped every single car, every single race pretty much if they wanted to. It was beyond a good car. They were like, let's drive slowly so we only win by 30 seconds. I mean, that car was off its tits. But he did beat Mark Webber quite handily most of the time. So obviously he had a lot of skill. Obviously he was a really good driver. But I mean, deep down in the hearts of every Australian, we always harboured some resentment to him because he was, thrashing our boy Mark Webber, but also like
selfishly,
when he needed to get dirty to do that. Yeah, he kind of had no problems with it, and I think he's shown that over the years. The thing though with Seb Vettel is that. He's clearly, and I think his like farewell announcement shows that he's clearly like matured and grown into a better, more well-rounded person, or maybe it's a big trick, I don't know, but he wants us to think that at least. But I think it comes from a genuine place. He seems to be genuinely willing to support worthwhile causes and things that you and I would agree are good causes. So it can't be all bad, even if sometimes he's had moments on track that make you think otherwise.
Yes, it's the classic dichotomy of a Formula One driver speaking out against like climate crisis and big projects that are fossil fuel, but also races.
He's been talking about any cause, like any cause under the sun lately. He's been going for it.
But
what are you guys against? Umbrellas? Yeah, I'll join you. I'm against umbrellas. Down with umbrellas.
But he does race for Aston Martin, Aramco. Like they are,
I guess so,
a massive Saudi oil firm that he races.
Sure.
That he helps sports wash and greenwash. So, but there's only, maybe he felt like there was only one, like if he was going to be in Formula One and he knew that he had a pretty safe spot, he could make comments that other drivers possibly can't because they have to make their careers and all that kind of stuff.
But having said that, what's worse, being in that position and saying something, or being in that position and not saying anything?
Exactly.
I didn't think that I was going to be the one defending Seb here.
But I feel like,
anyway, so be it.
I think that's, to speak on behalf of the podcast, I think we just kind of, he's one of the group of old Formula One drivers who's still puttling around, who's still good, but not amazing, who's holding up a spot in the sport, and the sport is richer for having him there because, as you said, he's interesting and smart and likable recently, definitely, as he's become more of his own person. As he said in his own thing, I'm not... As more of my life has become less specifically about only one thing, then I've become more likable. And I like myself more, and I feel like a more well-rounded person. He literally says those kinds of things, like the stuff that I don't like about myself comes from being a shitty Formula One guy. Like, that's how it goes.
So you didn't hear that proclamation and think, I think a little bit higher of you now. I mean, I did.
Yeah, I just thought, I think this... Oh, no, I'm getting wound up. I think that this sport's up its own ass a little bit. Being like,
do you need to take a break and do some push-ups or something?
No,
like
I can't make
to run around and get some energy out.
No, I just think that it's
play some basketball.
Stuff like this in Formula One is always just so like blown out of like scope or proportion, even because in other sports these kinds of things happen all the time. Like it's not. Yeah, he's a guy who's saying something very normal, which is like, why is it so surprising that a guy who's been racing for his entire existence at the top level, like as hard as he can, is now a bit like, well, I'm in my late 30s, I've got a family, I care about other things, I think it's time to, give it up. Maybe if we actually gave Formula One drivers a little bit more of an opportunity to like operate on a level that's not just, I'm a lad, but also I'm a very serious Formula One driver. If only there was some way we could capture their lives and that they're human beings with thoughts, emotions, and feelings somewhere between those two poles that we could, this would be less surprising.
I'm going to let you finish, but I'm also going to interrupt because I think that's what exactly made that statement noteworthy, was that I haven't seen a driver announce their retirement in that kind of way before. Now, granted, he spent many, many years resisting joining social media so that he didn't get wrapped up in the kind of bullshit of social media, which we all hate. But at the same time, he didn't just... It could have been so easy for him to just announce, I'm just leaving to spend more time with my family. Thank you so much. I love Formula One and it'll always mean a lot to me and bye-bye. He really tried to, he really tried to frame things as, you probably know me as Sebastian Vettel, the Formula One driver. Here's what's going on, though. I'm going to not be driving in Formula One anymore. So that you don't think that I have literally died in your mind because I won't be driving in Formula One. The only thing you know about me. Here's some more things about me. I could care less whether his favorite smell is chocolate. I could care less whether his favorite color is blue. But what I thought was interesting was just that it's an unusual step, particularly for him. It's an unusual step within this sport. It is something that we're seeing more from Lando Norris, Albon and those Leclerc, even those kinds of people who are they're showing more of their character. So I think in some ways he's kind of not entirely breaking new ground, but it's absolutely new ground for him. But it's something a little bit fresh. So I don't know. Maybe that impressed me.
I mean, I couldn't tell you if any of the other drivers who are really famous have retired, have given lengthy speeches or like press releases. Maybe we just actually don't think that's very interesting. And I'm sure that Romain Grosjean had a very heartfelt, like, I'm retiring. Here is my really long, lengthy statement about how I'm a person and I love cooking and I'm going to start my own Michelin star restaurant. Like, I think we all just kind of go, okay, cool, fuck off now.
Well, maybe
you don't in Formula One anymore.
Maybe you don't.
I'm not this is. I think this is Sebastian Vettel's legacy. I don't think many people give a shit, man. Like, you didn't have a huge amount of fans when you were winning, and he's a little bit of a caricature of, like, he's just one of the older Formula One dads, and I don't think that anybody's going to pay him any particular attention after he's retired either. He can go set up a magical foundation. He probably already has one. Of some foundation for saving the environment, or become a politician, or do something. But I don't think people will particularly be following him, because he also doesn't do a lot to craft his own personal brand anyway. So was this a cry for, like, hey, now pay attention to me because you won't have a weekly reminder that I exist? And if so, it's like, where's that been the whole time then?
Just looking up how many Instagram followers he has now, 1.9 million in less than a week. So how do you like that? How do you like them apples?
I think a whole bunch of people... You
still think no one cares about seeing what he's got to put out there?
Yeah, I do, because I don't think people are necessarily, like, following Sebastian Vettel to really hear what he has to say. I think they're just like, cool, I follow all the Formula One drivers. What do you think? Do you follow him?
I don't follow very many drivers at all, but that's not really the point. Well, I want Instagram. I use Instagram in a different way. I use it to just watch dumb videos that I hate, so that then I can go, God, these videos, I hate them. And that's my life. But that's me. Look, Zach, you hate Vettel. That's clear. You hated his announcement. But my challenge to you, Zach, is if you think it's so easy to write a farewell statement,
I've got one.
Let's see if you could do any better. I put a listeners don't know, but I did challenge Zach, and I said, hey, this statement from Seb, we should write one. I'll write one about me. You should write one about you, and let's do them on the show. So this is your chance, Zach. If you're going to spit vitriol about his dumb statement, let's hear your dumb statement.
Here's my dumb statement. All right, here we go. I hereby announce my retirement from all work. I commit myself full time to the purest of vocations, podcasting. Who am I? I'm Zachary, a Formula man, father of one podcast and countless bad takes, and I am fascinated by people who love George Russell. I'm obsessed with cars being too big, but I'm tolerant and feel that all cars have the right to space if wheel to wheel, no matter who is driving them. And I love sunsets. I love beer and chicken twisties. I'm just a little baby, especially first time in the morning. I love to make people coffee, but it's my way or the highway, Sonny Jim. My quizzes, they might not always be super, but they are always well-researched on Wikipedia. And dudes with no expert insight talking to their mates about sport are the future. And this is where I am leaving every other distraction behind. And I can't afford to wait. There is no other way. It has to be now, before everyone pivots to video, because I'm not made for video.
You're doing yourself a disservice because you are made for video. Outstanding, my friend. That was really good.
Thank you. Just thanks for the opportunity. Follow me on Instagram, where I suppose... Oh, that's
I'm at Seb Vettel.
Yeah. Where's my 1.9 million? Huh?
Well, look, that was very good. Very, very good.
With yours.
Hit me with yours. Well, okay, here's mine. Mine's called... I have some personal news. You might know me as one of the co-hosts of the long-running and long-tolerated F1 podcast Super License. How did that even happen, and who am I, really? On March 24, 2013, my buddy Zach came over to my place to watch the Malaysian Grand Prix. It was an eventful race that ended with the infamous Multi-21 incident that denied Mark Webber victory. From here, my Twitter feed paints a picture. A tweet from my actual Twitter feed on that day. At Zachary Priest, pass me another beer, hashtag in the same room. And then later, after some woefully inadequate television coverage, we started talking about a place to have these kinds of conversations about this kind of stuff, and the idea of a podcast was born, again, back to Twitter. Spitballing an F1 podcast with that Zachary Priest. Possible titles. F yeah. Come on, wheel the noise. A friend in need is a friend in speed. I don't remember pitching any of those, but I've always believed that anyone who wants to express themselves should just give it a go and always do it for their own enjoyment. So we began. The first episode launched us upon an unexpected and very perplexed F1 fan base. My name is Rodney, I began. Classic me, Rodney being my name. Do I need to spell it out for you? R is for Rodney. Again, my name. O is for O, which I say when someone gets my name wrong. Again, it's Rodney. That's my only name. D is for Dad, that's my other name. N is for my nose, which sits perfectly in the middle of my face. E is for my ears, which I use to listen to the air that rushes in and out of my nose. Y is the last letter of Rodney, the name of a weirdo who listens to air in his nose. I'm colorblind. I am fiercely principled. And I push back very hard if I feel I've been wronged in even the smallest of way. I decided a long time ago I wanted fewer things in my life, but nicer things. I can recite pi up to 3 decimal places.
Whoa.
My appearance was once described as being like if a cartoon wardrobe was a person. It's hard to deny. I'm observant and I like trying to understand things that others take for granted. I like making my daughter laugh by acting stupid, which distracts me from the reality that I probably am stupid. I like throwing her into the air and watching her land safely on the bed, and then calling her over to me and saying that was the last time and it was time to go, only to throw her into the air again, again insisting that it's now time to go, only to once again throw her into the air, and so on it goes. I'm just a guy who wants to make a podcast, and you can listen if you want. And I'm not going to say it's good to punch fascists in the face, but I'm not going to say anything else either. The end.
I feel that was very sincere and good. I feel at both I learnt everything and nothing about you at the same time, which is it's quite the feat. You threaded the needle beautifully. How, especially the moment of throwing your daughter in the air onto the bed and then saying you won't do it again. I mean, this is how I feel like the podcast is. We're like, we would never do it again. Here we are.
10 years later, I'm still throwing you on the bed and then saying we won't do it again.
Yeah.
Maybe we should move on to a couple of F1 stories. As always, as is becoming our tradition, we've got a couple of quick innie stories, quickies. I thought this one was notable. The FIA announcing a new initiative called Drive It Out to crack down on abusive attitudes, especially asking people who follow social media accounts who see abuse to report it. I mean, there was a big story a couple of races ago when they were like, hey, the crowds really sucked and they were racist and misogynist, and we covered it and everything. And I mean, the FIA did something. I don't know if this is really enough, but it was something, which again, it's kind of better than nothing. What did you think?
It's a bit like, I mean, would you rather have it or not? Yes, I'd rather have it. But there is always a sense with this kind of stuff where it's like, is this just a little bit of virtue signaling? Of like, yeah, we set up that thing and we're going to remind everybody before we're going to have a funny little black and white video each race. It's like, with all the drivers being like, you know what? Be nice, okay? Just don't be mean on social media and stuff. It's so, I don't know. I don't think it's very effective, but I think it's better than nothing. So, yep, good on them to actually go and do something. This feels very much like maybe the smallest thing they could do.
Yes.
But it's easiest to get. I mean, it's hard to do initiatives in Formula One. It's a collective of 20 teams who all have different ideas, beliefs, and we couldn't even get everybody to kneel for BLM stuff. You know, we had to have some of them will, but some of them won't.
At least they allowed it. I mean, now they're not really allowing it anymore. And I mean, I feel like the last year or two of, you know, like voicing some kind of protest about injustice or whatever in the sport. It feels like they're trying to stamp it out, which is sort of interesting at the same time that they're like, well, let's also stamp out abuse. Basically, just everybody shut up.
Yeah. Do it on our terms.
I guess in that environment of trying to clamp down and sanitize their image, I thought it was a positive sign to see something coming back, like a little bit of a rebound back, to be like, well, actually, we can say, that we want the place to be better.
Yeah, I mean, I think these things, though, need to be not like by the FIA. Like, I haven't done enough reading on it. I should probably have a little bit more of a look into it. But, I think these are best when they're an independent group that is engaged by the FIA and the sport to like hold it and its like community to account and can offer up suggestions on how like programs and things have changed and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to like, we just did this thing. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Good on it.
Well, I'll tell you someone else who hopes that lots of online abuse is reported is Michael Massey. You might remember him from that famous TV series, Drive to Survive. He was the villain. Michael Massey's been speaking out lately. He's been let off the leash, kind of, sort of, not really. Apparently, he's signed an NDA to say that he can't talk about that day, but he can talk about other things like how bad he felt afterwards and the abuse that he copped and that sort of thing. But I thought it was interesting to see him sort of come back. Also noticed he's sort of just very quietly been released and like, no job for you. There was talk about shuffling him around, giving him some other job, but obviously he either didn't want the jobs that were on the table, or that was just lip service, and there was never any intention of keeping him.
Just because he got moved to DTM, I think, which is he just got Pascal Verline. They're like, we'll move you back there, and then maybe
he got Pascal Verline.
Yeah, but nah, he got Verlined, sidelined.
Better hair on Verline, I say.
Yeah, I mean, death threats and stuff, it's mental. And it's almost, does the sport have any responsibility about how he was vilified and how he was made out and all of the radio messages they were putting out from Christian Horner and Toto Wolff about like being really mean to him and telling him that he was an absolute dickhead and how wrong he was and how stupid he was? I wonder if the race directors and Formula One should take any responsibility for that. But you know what? Who cares? Because they're blameless and they've got a Drive It Out campaign now, so it's all good. They're totally respectful themselves.
Definitely. So true. Oh, speaking of so true, hey, that's a segue. Time for So True, where we talk about things that are so true. Have you got anything in the bag this week, Zach? I think we've got lots to cover this week, but I've got one, which, that'll be a nice way of ticking that box without taking up too much time. Do you want to hear it?
Do it. No, I haven't got one. You go.
Daniel Ricciardo giving an interview to Sky. Obviously, he announced, I'm bravely committing to not retiring and going into oblivion. So his announcement, unlike Seb, was that he's staying. And he said to Sky and Ted Kravitz, give me a winning car and I'll win. True, Dan.
So true, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't win, how is it a winning car? You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
If you don't win, is it a winning car? Can it be a winning car if you don't win?
I mean, I think...
Seems impossible.
Yeah, it feels like the car...
A woman.
What?
Yeah, it feels like a woman. Oh, gee.
Yeah, all right, good. Yeah, that's good. It's good. So true. Yeah, I think you can have a winning car. Yeah, and it can win
I know what he
one or
means.
two. But yeah. But
he means if you put me in a car that my teammate could win in, I will also win some races, is what he's getting at. But
yeah, because the winning's not always down to the car.
At his expense.
I think that the winning's down to the team and the strategy and the drivers. And then you've got to give people a really good car. And I think I think that makes sense. Winning car. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, well, fine. 1-0. 1 to Ricciardo, 0 for Rod. Well, I'll tell you someone who knows how to win if you put him in a winning car is Fernando Alonso. Bloody Fernando Alonso announced to be replacing Seb, going to Aston Martin. There's a few questions to this. There's a bit to unpack about just Fernando moving in general, but we could also talk about who potentially is going to be replacing him at Alpine. So where do you want to start?
I want to start with... Well, let's start here. Do you think it's a good move?
Well, I mean, on paper, you'd have to be sort of saying like, well... It seems like this year Alpine are ahead of McLaren probably and definitely ahead of Aston Martin, who are kind of becoming a backmarker team. I'm sure that Fernando believes that Sebastian Vettel compared to him is just not good enough. And that's the whole problem there. But I mean, also one of the things that was... Well, he was pretty close with a couple of other times and his car was not as good as Seb's, I'll tell you that. Fernando, though, that they made a big deal at the announcement that it was a multi-year deal, and a lot of people are kind of saying like, that's kind of the key there. He might have been able to stay at Alpine on maybe a single year, but I think it seems that he wanted the security of multiple years. Does he just love money? Does he just love the sport that much? Well, who's to say? But I mean, I'm sure he's hoping, like Daniel Ricciardo leaving Red Bull to go to, where did he go first? Lotus? No, not Lotus. What was it? Renault. I mean, what would you make of that? Like, why would you leave a winning car to go and drive for Renault? That doesn't make sense. But obviously, he was hoping that they would do better, and I'm sure Fernando's equally hopeful for better things.
Yeah, I think you must look at Aston Martin and be like, they've got a long-term strategy with loads of money and
loads of money, yes.
Will just do whatever they can to get better and to win. I think Alonso's, like you said, I think he's just going to do whatever he can to make sure like his future in the sport is there until he decides to leave on his terms again. Maybe getting a little close for comfort at Alpine. Maybe they're a little bit like, how much sponsorship money do you actually bring in? And like, how good are you for the brand? What I thought was interesting, it was literally just kind of breaking-ish news before the show, is Otmar Szafnauer at Alpine. Tim Prince was just like, I found out when the press release came out from Alonso. I had no fucking clue. He told us on Friday that he was staying, and then he was really looking forward to another season. And then it came out, literally like 48 hours later that he was leaving to go to Aston Martin. So we had no clue at all, which is pretty shitty, I would say.
Yep.
Fernando, that's not great, but he's managed by Flavio Briatore, right? I mean, those two together.
Oh, surely not anymore. Surely.
I think he might be. He
might be behind the scene. Like, might be pulling the strings, but like, there's no way that in the commercial negotiations, Flavio with his bloody wraparound sunglasses and mullet, there's no way. Like, isn't he in jail? Like, legit, isn't he in jail?
Oh, maybe. I think he might be. It doesn't matter. Anyway, my point is that they're dodgy. Like, I like Fernando a lot, but I think he'll just do anything he can to live by his own rules. And he probably still thinks he could win a world championship. I mean, they all bloody do. Every single one of these old guys is zimming around is like, I could still win one more. Just get me a winning car. Who cares about these young guys? They're no good. Actually, they're very good. And they probably even want it more than you think. But Fernando can't even imagine that's possible.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia for Flavio Briatore. It's not good when there's a heading that says convictions and fugitive status.
Oh, what is his current fugitive status?
Not good. Not good. I mean, it says that he had a lifetime ban by the FIA, but I think that was overturned, apparently.
Well, of course it was. It's got friends in high places. Sure. So, I mean, speaking of legal difficulties, apparently your friend and mine, compatriot of yours and mine, Piastri. Is it Oscar Piastri?
Oscar.
Yeah, yes. Why doesn't that feel right when I said it? Yeah, Oscar Piastri.
Get used to it.
Aussie. Easy to remember that. Aussie Piastri.
Yes.
Managed by Mark Webber. So Alpine are like, cool, our agreement with you says that if you're offered a race seat, you have to take it because that's our contract with you. And we have one for you for next year, so take it. And Mark Webber, who manages Oscar, is a little bit like, there could be other seats around actually, though. I'm not sure that actually is right in the contract. And maybe there might be a McLaren seat coming up, perhaps. So do you think we will see a Daniel Ricciardo move to Alpine, where there's not any bad blood there anymore because everybody he has bad blood with is gone.
Sure.
But would they even want him? Like, would you, if you were, so here's the two-parter. If you were Daniel Ricciardo, would you move to Alpine knowing that your goose is pretty much cooked at McLaren anyway? And if you were Alpine, would you want Daniel Ricciardo?
I think that one of the questions is not as much, do I want Daniel Ricciardo, but do I want to lose Piastri? I think that's one key question, because if they could dump him at Williams and get him back in a couple of years, they probably would do that. I don't know if that'll be on the table, though. But one of the reasons why they probably didn't want to commit to Fernando for multiple years is they're like, look, perfectly happy with the guy with the big teeth over here. So that means if we get Piastri in this team, sorry, Fernando, that's you. You're going to be out the door. eventually because, he's getting on. So, not saying that we don't want you for next year, just saying we don't want to commit for 2-3 years, whatever. So, I mean, I'm sure that got Fernando's nose out of joint. But I'm sure that they were also looking to the future of Piastri. Yes, Piastri, we want you. We don't want to lose you. I guess the question, though, is, all right, Fernando's gone. Ricciardo has just said, I'm committed to staying at McLaren, which was always a bizarre way to frame that. So my question would always be, what is the competition? Where else were you going to go? Who else were you talking to? That makes me wonder, even though there's all this talk about, the team found out Sebastian Vettel was retiring when he announced it. So Otmar realizes when Fernando announces I'm leaving, that was when he learned that he was leaving. But behind the scenes, Seb must have told Aston Martin, I'm thinking about it. Give me some time to think about it, but I'll get back to you with an answer. But it's a live option. You guys might want to just be warned.
Yeah.
I don't think it was I've decided to retire, so I'm telling you today I'm retiring. It was probably just thinking about this, and I'll let you know soon what my decision is, so that you can do whatever you want. That's what makes me wonder whether they went looking around to see who was available, like your Daniel Ricciardo's. Yeah. And then Ricciardo must have been am I going to go there or am I going to stay here? And then got in front of it so that when Seb left, when Fernando moved, he had already dealt with the question. There's no question. I'm here to stay. I think if I was Ricciardo, I'd probably stay at McLaren. I think that they've got a better chance of developing in another year or two to be in a better position than Alpine does. Alpine just seems to be almost fluking their performance rather than it being purposeful. But the other question was Alpine, would you want Ricciardo or Piastri? I don't think you don't want to lose Piastri, but I don't know what Ricciardo gives them that Ocon isn't giving them. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I hadn't even thought about the fact that, of course, Vettel would have just told Aston Martin a month ago, been hey, or even 2 months ago, hey, Well, he might not have said I'm retiring, but he might have said I'm thinking about what I'm going to do. Yeah, and I'm going to make a decision by the middle of the season. Yes. And so they're not going to wait. Let's go chat. Yeah. So they were talking to a bunch of people, and then they finally were Fernando's, all the doors closed, and Fernando's I'm in. And they were great, well, we can't announce you until Vettel's
I'm pointing at my computer screen so vigorously right now. Yeah. Yes. I think that is why Fernando was such a firm yes, and I'm sure that that's why they went to him and said, look, we're going to lose Sebastian. We can't get Daniel. We'll give you whatever you want. You want multiple years? Done.
You want Kamoa on the car? We'll put it on the car.
Exactly. We want you. And I'm sure that that's part of why Fernando was so emphatic in this is just a done deal, open and shut. Where do I sign? Give me the pen right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm sure that's why that all moved so quickly as well.
Yeah, that's right. I'd be interested to see now what happens with Alpine because I'm not over the moon about Esteban Ocon either, to tell you the truth. And, Toto Wolff manages him. Maybe, there's so many moving parts, Rod. I can't for the second half of this season. There's going to be so much because
that's true.
Lewis Hamilton's going to retire at some point in his career as well. It's going to
be. Ooh, that's juicy. Well, anyone in the Discord knows because I posted this about an hour ago. Selfishly, I kind of really want at least another 1 or 2 big moves. More moves, please. I'm all about it. I'm hungry for moves.
But who would the move be? Sainz?
I don't care. Just give me moves.
Are we done with Sainz? Get rid of him? Get somebody else?
No, I don't think Sainz. I'm not saying there'll be very big names, but it'll be what's going to happen. Who hasn't signed? Mick Schumacher, where is he going to go? His name was obviously being thrown around. But
apparently Vettel was trying to get Mick Schumacher into the Aston Martin seat.
And they were
and I can imagine Mini Stroll would have been a bit how about another old guy, though? Who is not cool and young.
He's maybe past his prime.
Yeah, exactly. Who can, ostensibly teach me, even though I've really got nothing left to learn, but I don't want any of that good set of young drivers anywhere near me.
A wise head on his shoulders that I can learn from, but also a very slow pedal.
Yeah. Can you also make sure who's not going to complain when I get the upgrades and he doesn't? Oh man, I didn't even think about that Fernando's going to be so chaotic at Aston Martin for Lance Stroll.
This is great.
It's going to be so good that he's going Fernando's going to turn and be wait a second, why does he get the new bits? I'm Fernando Alonso. I'm Fernando fucking Alonso. Don't make me call Flavio. Don't make me get Flavio in the room.
I'll get him out of jail, get him down here, and he's going to start cracking
He'll use his daily call to call you. Tricky.
Anything else about the driver situation across the board? Apparently, we've just expanded it right out.
All right, I'm going to bet you dinner.
Here we go.
At some point in my life.
Dinner.
Daniel Ricciardo is going to retire from Formula One before Lewis Hamilton.
Are you willing to be like a timeline or?
Oh, what do you mean? Why do I need a timeline? Like, for what? Like, do you want to add more stakes? Stakes on stakes? Like,
Are we talking stakes? I could go steak.
yeah, I can stake actually. Yeah.
Okay, so what if it's the same year though? What if
Then it's a draw,
2
and we'll
years
take
from
each other
now,
out for dinner.
It's a draw. Look, I mean, I'm on board. So I would back Daniel to last longer than Hamilton in Formula One. Sure, I'll take that.
Okay.
You're
Done.
on steak dinner.
Steak dinner. Steaks are set, and it's steaks. Great.
Should we talk about some races?
Nah, fuck it. I mean, where do you want to start? Do you want to let's go with Verstappen first, then, right?
Yeah,
Because he's doing all the things that even when they're having bad race weekends, he's still like, oh my God, I won. Amazing. This is really good.
This is it. When Ferrari are winning, they stuff it up and then they throw it away. When Verstappen qualifies 10th and it looks like Ferrari should have it in the bag, nah, they still stuff it up. And then Verstappen just drives over the top of everybody. Bloody stupid Toto Wolff was like, oh, if only Hamilton didn't have that DRS problem in qualifying, he might have won this race. I was like, you know where Verstappen qualified? Behind you. You know where he finished? In front of you. What the
So
fuck are you
far in
talking
front of
about?
you. I mean, this race as well. I mean, even with me knowing that when the Sky commentary team are like, oh, look, you know, he's
Don't
coming back through the
get
grid.
me started.
He could definitely get him. It's like, wait a second. Of course Max Verstappen's not driving as fast as he possibly can. He's 10 seconds in front. Why would he risk anything? He's just driving normal speeds. And then as soon as it looked like it might even be on, he was like, I'm just going to actually use all of the car that is available to me, not just a quarter of the car. Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they had some power troubles in qualifying and they fixed them. You know, he's not a happy camper all the time, but he makes it work. And that's the sign of an incredible driver. If you can make a car work, even if it's not performing that well. And I think we all, look, it really sounds like Max Verstappen whinges a lot on the radio. They all fucking whinge a lot on the radio. Every single one of them. If I was driving around and I had no power, I'd be on the radio going, I've got no fucking power. And they're like, calm down, press this sequence of 45 buttons. And they're like, okay, I've done that, but it still doesn't fucking work. So what now?
What now, genius?
Yeah. Yeah. Can I turn it all off and just drive it based on my own good bits? You know, like, come on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, yeah. I mean, the thing is that both Red Bull and Ferrari have had reliability problems. That's one thing. Then they've had races where they were not as fast as the other team. The difference is that in those races, like for example, Verstappen qualifying poorly or having to start from a disadvantage, had enough pace and then a great strategy to make it work. Ferrari, I feel like we've spent the last 10 years talking about Ferrari's poor strategy. It's fucking ridiculous. So they really just badly screwed up in the last race. And I mean, I don't know what Mattia Binotto was talking about. He's like, oh, the problem wasn't the strategy. The problem was the car's performance. I was like, well, yeah, because the strategy was so bad that you fucked the car.
It made it look bad.
Of course it was slow. Everyone knew it was slow. Like when you stopped for hards, everybody knew, like, what?
What are you doing? And because they just
screwed
two
it.
mediums in a row in Hungary, and I was like, all right, well, now what? Are you going to make that, you're going to stretch that out, go on softs, and then they eventually do anyway. Like, do they use computers there? Like, do they, or are they, pencil and paper? Like, what if we do? Like, they're really overthinking
It's like they
everything.
literally just spaced on it. Like, we can just pit twice for mediums, and then next up, another set of wait a second. Uh-oh, I see what I've done here. We've really boxed ourselves in.
There's my problem.
But, I mean, for a lot of this year so far, it's been like, okay, Mercedes are slow enough that Ferrari don't have to worry about it, but things are starting to get dire, and I've written all this out. I don't want to be caught, like, accused of points watching too much, but listen to this. Perez is only a few points behind Leclerc now for second in the Drivers' Championship. Russell has now passed Carlos Sainz. Hamilton is not far behind, about 10 points behind. Merc are only 30 points behind Ferrari in the Constructors. It's just ridiculous how bad Ferrari are.
Yeah, and they can no longer just look in front of them anymore. They've got to look behind them.
No.
You know, if Mercedes...
That's exactly right.
Like, Mercedes aren't going anywhere. I love that George Russell, when he took pole in Hungary, and he was just like, no fucking clue how that happened, but something worked, because they're not even putting their parts through... Like, not all the parts are going through wind tunnel or their physical wind tunnel. They're doing the simulations and stuff, but because they're like, we just got to get to the car and just try. We've got to find something that will win or will be faster. And sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. Sometimes good, maybe shit. But there's enough goodness in that team to string together a race weekend that will mop up still. And Russell is obviously really, really, really good. I think we all kind of knew that, but he's really good. Still punchable. But you know what? I'm warming on it. Like, I've softened and warmed to George Russell because I know he can be a little like, oh, but it's not really me, it's the whole team. But everyone is a bit like that, and I don't think he should be punished for that. Just because it sounds like he's being condescending, I don't think he actually is. And I think he's quite grateful to be doing this, and I don't think, unlike a lot of the other drivers in his age and class, he doesn't seem to have the same sense of like, I am destined to be a world champion, because he's done his dues at the shit teams and has had his heart broken a couple of times already. So he doesn't quite have the same airs as Leclerc, Verstappen, and Lando being like, I'm a world class, I'm going to win a world championship. Get out of my way. He's a little bit like, look, it's going to take a little bit more than just like wanting it really hard to make it happen. So yeah, with him and Hamilton kind of sorting things out, I mean, they'll just keep finishing on the podium every time Ferrari fucks up. And instead of Ferrari being like, cool, we've qualified like first and third or second and fourth, let's string together a race strategy that will capitalize on us both being at the front, and, don't overthink it. Let's just race the best race possible. Instead, now they've got to worry about Mercedes as well, like coming in and disrupting their races. They can't work under that pressure. They can only win from the front, it seems. And that's a shame, because I think Leclerc, talk about, we talked about having a winning car earlier. I think he does have a winning car. And I think they've got a winning driver too in Leclerc. And I just don't think that the rest of the team is necessarily winning. They're just not as good.
They've always had that problem. It's I don't know what they need to do, but they need to get on top of it. Quick, smart. I do have another point in the notes, which is just, can Mercedes win? And this is a question that was being asked like a month or 2 months ago, and I was like, forget it. Mercedes ain't going to win no races. All of a sudden, they've had back-to-back double podiums. And look, a double podium is not the same as winning, but I mean, you've got to be there, and if you're going to have any chance, you'd rather be in second than further back. Having said that, like I've got it here in the notes, Verstappen drove over the top of them both times that they were on the podium. But still, I think that it's telling how bad Red Bull and Ferrari have both been. The number 2 drivers haven't been really able to do anything, either for reliability or strategy or skill. And it's crazy that they still, between Red Bull and Ferrari, should have the top 4 positions all sewn up. And yet somehow Mercedes are still sneaking, not just 1, but now 2 drivers onto the podium. I think I saw that, other than Verstappen, Hamilton has scored the most points in the last 5 races, which is just, it's really kind of crazy. And it's no longer a fluke. And it's only a matter of time, if they keep getting second and third, that they are going to sneak in for a win. But I don't think that that's because I don't think it's because they have the fastest car or a sort of, I'll get it. I don't want to tie myself in knots, but if you win a race because others have had misfortune, that's seen as kind of different than winning on merit. It's not unmeritorious to win in that way, but I think that we've had so much bad performance and bad luck for Red Bull and Ferrari. It only needs to be a little bit more for that top step to be taken up by one of the Mercedes drivers.
Oh yeah, and they might not have a particularly high ceiling at Mercedes right now, but they've got a pretty high floor, if you know what I mean. Like their not a great race weekend is much better than every other team, except maybe Red Bull at this stage. And I think maybe by Singapore, Singapore, that funny little racetrack where if you're quick through the corners, you've got a sharp head on your shoulders, you put together a full weekend, you can win that race. I mean, yeah, they're earmarking wins this season, surely, because it's not going very well at Ferrari. And Red Bull have, Max Verstappen, who will make it work. But, he's vulnerable too. So I'm just glad that we've got ostensibly 3 teams at the front fighting it out. It's very exciting that there's actually 6 drivers who are interesting.
Of course we want them in the mix. Of course we do. And of course we want them disrupting things to keep it interesting. You got to have that. Any other notes about the races that we've had in general lately? What's the vibe? What's your vibe check as we go into the summer break for F1 racing?
I think Max Verstappen is maturing in ways that I quite like. I think you get that one world championship, you start to go like, all right, validation. I'm not in daddy's shadow. I'm in my own, starting to turn into my own man. He's starting to loosen it up. I actually watched the race with some friends this weekend, and we were talking about this, that like the Daniel Ricciardo, Max Verstappen days, he seemed like full of joy and like, yeah, it'll happen for me at some point, but like we're kind of the underdogs right now. We kind of like that. And then when he wasn't really the underdog anymore, and it's like number one driver last season, has to make it happen, head down, no drive to survive, for him, all of that kind of stuff. It was just like drive to win alone. I think he got a really hard edge to him that makes it really difficult to like see the lighter side of Max. And I think I personally saw that more. Like even when he was being light, I was like, you're still hard edged and like I'm finding it difficult to like you. Not to mention his fans being mental. Sorry, I shouldn't use that word. His fans being just absolutely like so behind him in ways that they've got blinkers on. And there's lots of fans out there for drivers of all types. So it makes him less accessible. But now I think the pressure's off. He has a good race weekend like this where he's come from 10th. He's more patient. In the race before in France, he didn't just like throw it in to overtake Leclerc. He was like, all right, I'm not just going to like not give him any space or anything. I'm going to bide my time. I'm going to wait for the opportunity to get past. Because you have to win the whole race, not just every little interaction. And I feel like he's backing his skills in the car and maybe rounding out his driving style and maybe his personality as well, which I think is good. So yeah, and I like that about Max Verstappen. I think that will make him harder to beat ongoing.
I think there's something to be said for his being 80 points clear now in the Drivers' Championship. That is bringing, an air of confidence. Yeah, an air of like number 2 is on its way to my place, to Max's house. There'll be another trophy coming. Direct DHL overnight, next day delivery. So I'm sure that goes some way to being like, well, I'm not going to let small things shake me because, hey, soon you'll be talking about your world champion, Max Verstappen.
Exactly.
It's starting to become like really bad because I know we're sort of, this is the other thing, people keep saying we're at the halfway point of the year. I'm like, but we've done more than half of the races. But anyway, as we hit the summer break, as we hit this mental point where people check out and reevaluate, I think there's a lot of thinking to be done at Ferrari. Leclerc, overall, I mean, I know Leclerc sort of drove off the track, but I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be like, well, you're a junk, throw you in the bin. You've still got what it takes to win a lot of races, and the season isn't over, but being 3 races clear with how many races are left? 10, maybe 9? Boy, it's tough.
It's going to take Max DNFing twice to lose this championship. Really.
Minimum. Yeah, and then some other good results for Ferrari, and then maybe some other misfortune that isn't DNFing, but still damaging for Max.
Yeah, it might take a cost cap. I mean, Red Bull aren't going to beat the last 4 races, remember?
Happen.
So don't worry about it.
That could easily happen. 2 DNFs in 10 races. I mean, like that's didn't he DNF like 3 times in the first 5 races or something?
God, challenge you're in a Ferrari. Come on, just get it done, Carlos.
I mean. I still think it's Verstappen's championship. Not to lose, I think it's his championship. But, I mean, that doesn't mean that they can't still be some surprises. Maybe Mercedes will be involved in some of those surprises. Let's hope so. Zach, have you prepared yourself to give me a super quiz?
I'm ready to go. Play the thing.
Me, I'm ready to hear it. Let's play it now.
We will accept a couple of questions. Should one only win one? Would one want to have won that one in round 1?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, so super quiz. I'm reliably informed this is some kind of Formula 1 related quiz activity for fun.
Yeah, for fun. First question, Rod. What do you think the quiz is going to be about?
Oh, is it a quiz about quizzes?
No, that was your one shot.
Sebastian Vettel.
It's Sebastian Vettel. You got it on the redo.
There you go.
You threw up the foul throw, but you got the rebound and like you dunked it.
That's such a baller move.
Well, you're a baller. This is the Tell Me the Truth. It's a quickfire round of true or false.
Not for tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
That's way better. I was watching the Commonwealth Games last night while writing this quiz, and the Aussies were just winning everything in the pool like usual, and I was distracted, and I was like, really just gotta fucking nail this quiz out. I'd written my Vettel style retirement little blurb thing, and I was like, just gotta fucking fire this quiz out. Go, go, go. And then I reckon this is probably maybe the third quiz we've done on Sebastian Vettel. So I was
Probably.
digging deep into some facts about Sebastian. And tell you what, everyone's really keen to tell you how much of a Beatles fan Sebastian is, and how Sir John Paul McCartney, he owns a guitar from Sir John Paul McCartney. I was like, why is it not just Paul McCartney? Why is it we always saying Sir John Paul McCartney or James Paul? Like, I didn't even know he didn't know he had a full name like that.
I guess once you get knighted, all bets are off for your name. You get to dictate the terms there.
Sir James Paul McCartney. In every article I read, I was like, have you all just scraped from the same piece of Wikipedia that it's like Sir James Paul McCartney? No, everyone just knows him as PMAC. Anyway, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions for you. All you need to tell me is if they're true or false, the statement.
Oh, excellent.
Here we go. Question number 1. There are more A's than E's in Sebastian.
I'm not even going to count. I'm going to say there's more A's.
Yes, true. Well done. Question number 2. He named his 2011 car Kinky Kim after Kim Kardashian.
I think it was Kinky Kylie. So I'm going to say false.
Yeah, you were spot on. Wow, you remember which one it was. Well done. Question number 3. When he was 8, he wanted Sebastian the Crab from The Little Mermaid on his helmet.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go true.
It's tough. Yeah, right? It is true, but I was like, surely
Crazy
Rod's
enough
going to
to
think
be
this one's
true.
stupid. That sounds like something I would make up about him. But yeah, he had a helmet designer at 8. A guy who was like designing if you know you're good. Anyway.
Must be nice.
Question number 4. Vettel never finished the season outside the top 4 when racing for Red Bull.
No, that's false. His last season, he was outside the top 4.
Yes, he was 5th. Daniel Ricciardo
Yes,
was
and
winning all the races.
I think that
and he was
triggered his
not.
exit clause. And he was like, see you later, I'm off to Ferrari.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Do you think did he join a social media when that happened? Maybe he joined Twitter when he decided to move. All right, question number 5. He has never been disqualified from an F1 race.
What question number is this, 5 or 6?
5.
Never been
Why does that
disqualified.
matter?
No, I think he's been disqualified. Because I want to sweep the board, bro. He's been disqualified, sure.
He has
Sure
been
he has.
disqualified, that's true. Do you want to tell me for triple points? Because it was pretty recently.
Really?
Yeah.
I always thought it was something really early. Recently, disqualified from a race. Was it fuel related? Couldn't
It
provide a
was.
fuel sample?
Yes.
Got
Hungary
it.
2021. Fucking hell.
Never done this well before.
All right, question number 6, the final question of the Tell Me the Truth quiz. As a kid, he looked up to 3 Michaels: Schumacher, Jordan, and Jackson.
Well, I mean, this is hard because he definitely looked up to Michael Jordan. Did he look up to Michael Jackson? Did anyone look up to Michael Jackson as a role model in motorsport? What's going on? Jeez.
Sweaty palms. Will you sweep the board?
Let's just go true.
It is true. Well done.
But it's bewildering.
Yeah, he loves music. He's like all the F1 drivers. They're not cool guys. They just like whatever's popular. So you like Mick Schumacher, you like Michael Schumacher, Michael Jordan, and Michael Jackson. He's a kid of the 90s. That's how it goes.
The thing is, right, you look up to Michael Schumacher, do you need a second sporting idol? Like, really? Isn't Michael Schumacher enough for you?
He needed a fashion
Michael
idol. That was Michael
Schumacher.
Jordan. Everyone liked Michael Jordan. Anyway, there we
I thought
go.
it was going to be like Michael Jackson because he does his own thing and he's a self-styled Prince of Pop and all the rest of it. But I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe just
I
like
think he just liked his music. He just liked the tunes.
Yeah.
That's it.
You love
It's a
the
bit of a
Dangerous
thriller.
album.
Yeah. Because he's a dangerous driver. All right. That's it. Well done. Sweat the board.
Thank you so much.
You know Sebastian
I
Vettel very
feel-
well.
Look, I feel really good about just myself and, yeah. Just feel good about myself. Made my day, that quiz.
Oh, good. Nice one. Should we do a couple of Audis and get out of here?
We should wrap things up very soon, but yes, stories that we need to cover before we go. Number one, big announcement, Porsche and Red Bull making a deal. Porsche is funding, they're buying 50% of the Red Bull Formula One team, something like that, Zach.
Yeah.
We're 50% of the way towards your wet dream of a Formula One team with Mark Webber right at the pinnacle.
The helm.
Owned by
Yep.
Porsche Racing.
Yep.
It's going to come true.
Yeah, maybe that's where Oscar Piastri will end up. It's interesting, right? Because Porsche and the Volkswagen Group must be like, well, you know, we've got all these like engine capabilities and power unit capabilities, and
We have a certain set of skills.
yeah, exactly. We'd like to be in Formula One for 2026. This is how you're going to get involved, right? You get involved early. You start putting people in place to get to understand the team. I wonder what this means for Red Bull. Maybe they do actually prefer to just be like the branding on the thing, because it's pretty costly running a Formula One team, and you just want your name on it. And they had their most success when Infinity and Renault were doing all the PU stuff, and Adrian Newey was doing all the make the car slippery stuff. Adrian's like seems really involved again. So yeah, I think that we'll see. I don't think Christian Horner looks like he wants a way out. I think he fucking lives and breathes it. But maybe by the time, in a few more years, maybe then it will be time for Mark Webber to step into his shoes.
Into his rightful place.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, as a marketing guy, is it possible that Red Bull could hit market saturation where they're like, we cannot literally ship any more cans of Red Bull to F1 fans? It's literally not possible for us to get any more value out of this. We are overexposed to a joke, to an extreme degree. Time for us to rebrand, and Porsche makes perfect sense.
Yes, I think there would be an exit at some point. People would argue maybe that Red Bull's like, it's a self-sustaining team. They've got teams down the other, like through the other formula. Like it's all good for brand. There is something in marketing called the billboard mentality, which is that if you don't buy the billboard, your competitor will. So there's only 20 billboards in Formula One, really. And so if you've got one, it's actually pretty expensive and hard to get as well. And they've really made themselves part of this modern phase of Formula One. So I think it'd be a silly thing to give up, but I can see them wanting to just cut their costs. Just like, all right, we are deep in the hole with this team. You know, we pump a lot in here. They probably looked at as Honda stepping away, and they were like, oh shit, this engine thing's hard to do actually. Like, and it's costly and probably not in our wheelhouse. Pardon the pun. So why don't we go get some help from somewhere else?
All right.
And that gives them an exit. If they ever want it, I'm sure that it's there.
If they want it. Yeah. So it's coming. Porsche F1 Racing, headed by Mark Webber, with Daniel Ricciardo, their lead driver, telling them, give me a winning billboard and I will sell you some friggin' Porsches.
But, I mean, the wider point stands, right? Adrian Newey, Helmut Marko, and Christian Horner, they've been doing the thing.
Did you say Cringian Horner? Did you say
Horner?
I can't even say it now.
Christian Horner. That's pretty good.
I like it.
Yeah. Cringy Horner. There is... they've been doing it now for what? 12 years? Something like that? More? At that team?
Oh, more.
Yeah, exactly.
15?
So, 15 years. At some
14,
point, that
16,
triumvirate has got to... they're going to do other things. You get bored. So, maybe him and Christian and Toto will find a détente and they'll leave together hand in hand with joint statements being like, this town ain't big enough for the both of us.
That's it.
But we're both going to leave. Yeah, there it is.
Well, we're bringing the Sparks energy to the summer break, so I think we'll be back soon. I think it'll be a good time to catch up on some episodes of Dare to Swear. Summer break is the perfect time for that. Anyone who wants to revisit Drive to Survive with us can listen along as we watch Drive to Survive, swear all over the top of that fucking thing. We call it Dare to Swear. So we'll be back with some of that soon, I reckon. In the meantime, if you want to, I don't know, I'm going to check out. We're not going to be posting on Twitter, but if you want to follow us and get ready for Spa, my favorite race, the best race. You want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Superlicense. You can check out the website at superlicense.fm. The FM stands for Zach.
Formula Muchachos.
CC, muy bueno. What else can you do? Join the Discord. Sometimes we tweet links to that, or you'll find your way there. I trust you. You're capable. Ask me, DM me, and I'll tell you where it is. But yeah, summer break time. So everyone enjoy the summer break. We'll be back for Spa very, very soon. It's going to be great. In the meantime, Zach, just keep doing your thing. You're on a good track.
Cool. All right, great.
Super. And you could say something nice back to me now?
Yeah.
Never mind. Anyway, thanks very much for listening. Until you hear from us next, my name's Vinrod.
My name's been Zach.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.